The Galactic Convergence convened under the rotating stars of Nexalin Prime, a council chamber larger than most terrestrial stadiums. Dozens of species filled their designated spheres, floating, rooted, or seated, depending on physiology. Lights flickered softly in atmospheric harmony. Ambassador Lynn Caro of Earth stood tall at the center dais, his voice calm, measured, translated simultaneously across wavelengths and frequencies for every delegate present. "We ask not for dominance," he said, "only for cooperation. A future without war is a future in which we all survive." His words were sincere, earnest, maybe too earnest. The Zorati delegation sat in silence. 6 generals encased in obsidian exo-armor, eyes like molten iron. Their homeworld had never known peace for more than a generation. Victory defined them. Compromise disgusted them. The idea of diplomatic equality with a species barely a century off its home planet was, to them, offensive. Lynn continued, "Earth offers its technology, its knowledge. We have crossed the void not with conquest, but with curiosity. Let that be our legacy." A sound cut through the translation field. Sharp. Final. A pulse of ultraviolet light blinked, and Lynn Caro fell. His torso disintegrated in mid-sentence, leaving only a fine mist in the air. No warning, no declaration, just a shot. Gasps, screams, the sudden rustle of movement. The chamber's security field flared too late. At the epicenter, a ring of nothing remained where Lynn had stood. The Zorati stood. General Vorix, eldest among them, lifted his voice with detached scorn. "The weak do not lead the strong." Earth's offer was rejected. No sanction followed. No immediate response from the council. Most delegates were too stunned to act. A few bowed their heads. More turned away. Politics would take days, weeks, to process this violation. A neutral inquiry might be called. Statements might be drafted. None of it would matter now. Earth's delegation rose silently, their faces expressionless, and left the chamber. No one stopped them. No words were exchanged. The humans walked out the same way they had entered, calm, precise, deliberate. Behind them, the Galactic Convergence tried to resume its agenda. Tried and failed. The news of the ambassador's assassination spread instantly across galactic networks. Footage was dissected, slowed, looped. Commentators debated endlessly. Some called it a declaration of war. Others called it a warning. Most did what the council did. Nothing. On Earth, the flags dropped. Not a single speech was made. There were no calls for vengeance. Only silence. Lynn's family refused interviews. His image was placed on the walls of Earth's orbital embassies. Flowers appeared without invitation. Civilians stood for hours in quiet vigils. No chants, no slogans, just grief. The galactic elite, watching, took the silence for fear. They were wrong. The Zorati continued their campaigns on fringe systems. Their commanders mocked Earth's inaction in internal transmissions, not realizing they were being recorded. 7 days later, a closed diplomatic package was sent to the Galactic Convergence. Earth's voice came through cold, clipped, and final. "We acknowledge the Convergence's failure to protect diplomacy. We will no longer pursue integration under its banner. Our delegation has been recalled. Our envoy was murdered. Your systems responded with protocol. We will respond with precision." The stars around Sol dimmed behind the blackout curtain of Earth's resolve. No broadcasts, no rebuttals. Only the silent orbit of a planet that had nothing more to say. Intelligence agencies from over 30 species monitored human channels, expecting outrage, mobilization, declarations of war. None came. Earth had simply gone quiet. Inside subterranean installations, lights blinked across steel walls. Orders moved down encrypted channels without ever touching open space. No fleet mobilized. No carriers launched. No planetary alignments shifted. Yet every satellite aligned in silence. Every system snapped into readiness like a blade sheathed in shadows. At the Lunar Strategic Facility, beneath meters of titanium-reinforced regolith, one man sat alone in briefing silence. Rifleman Callum Rourke. No rank beyond his name. No insignia save for a patch bearing the emblem of Earth's defunct diplomatic corps. A black dove, wings furled. He received no orders, only a digital file. Lynn Caro final speech, annotated, time-stamped, and attached with biometric security. He read it once, then again, then again. His face never changed. The Zorati hadn't just killed a man. They'd dismissed humanity's entire premise of peace. They hadn't challenged Earth's strength. They dismissed it as non-existent. Callum suited up, not in battle armor, but in a pressure-sealed diplomatic uniform. No visible weapon, no markings. His shuttle, a stealth corvette with quantum slip capability, launched from the lunar surface with no ignition signature. Cloaked, silent, untouchable. Across the galaxy, debates raged on. The Galactic Convergence stalled any discussion of punishment. Legalistic jargon replaced moral clarity. Zorati representatives insisted Lynn's death was a result of cultural misunderstanding. Other species, fearing Zorati retaliation, adopted neutrality. Earth never replied to a single message. Instead, ambassadors were withdrawn from 12-star systems. Human embassies went dark overnight. No explanations given. No diplomats left behind. Entire stations were stripped clean with surgical efficiency. To most of the galaxy, it looked like retreat. Inside the Galactic Convergence, whispers grew. What was Earth planning? Why the silence? Why no retaliation? Had they accepted their place in the pecking order? In quiet corners of neutral planets, some didn't believe the act of murder would go unanswered. They remembered how humans had entered the stars, not as conquerors, but as survivors, people who had endured extinction-level threats on their own world and came out adaptive, calculating, and merciless when cornered. They had brought peace, yes, but not because they feared war. Callum Rourke passed undetected through 7 security checkpoints orbiting Nexalin Prime. The stealth corvette drifted within the system's ice belt. He made the rest of the journey alone, via low-heat exoskiff. Every motion precise, timed to the millisecond. The night before his arrival, the Convergence gathered once more. Their agenda: economic development initiatives. Lynn Caro assassination was not on the docket. Earth had not been invited back. Delegates joked among themselves. The Zorati generals, emboldened, exchanged stories about species they cowed into submission. One claimed Earth had retreated for good. Another speculated their military was too primitive to mount a response. Laughter echoed in the chamber like gas in a leaking hull. At that same moment, Callum Rourke sat in atmospheric orbit, adjusting the cuffs of his uniform. In his pocket was a micro-drone containing a single projectile, atomically sharp, coil-launched, untraceable. He didn't rehearse. He had already memorized every word. The coordinates of the chamber, the seat placement, the exact second Lynn had been vaporized. Every breath calculated. Every step timed. He hadn't come to avenge a diplomat. He had come to finish his sentence. The chamber swelled with the low murmur of interstellar politics. Delegates of countless worlds positioned themselves along their tiers, scrolling through briefings, adjusting translators, waiting for the session to begin. The Zorati generals reclined with unmistakable arrogance, eyes scanning the room for opposition and finding none. Earth's seats remained conspicuously empty, dark and sealed. Then a ripple, not noise, not light, just presence. He walked to the center unchallenged. A man in diplomatic gray. No weapons visible. No escort. No announcement. He stepped to the very platform where Lynn Caro had stood. He looked up, eyes unwavering. His voice emerged without amplification, yet every delegate heard it clearly. The words Ambassador Caro spoke were not opinions. They were intentions. We did not come to this hall to beg. We came to build. The Zorati stirred. Some delegates exchanged nervous glances. He didn't stop. We offered peace, not weakness. That distinction was misunderstood. No security moved. No system registered his entry. They hadn't planned for this. No one had. The humans had simply stopped speaking. Now one had returned, not with fury, but with poise. Not to threaten, but to complete a thought. I was not sent to argue. I was not sent to negotiate. I am here to deliver what was interrupted, He spoke each word with the cadence of inevitability, calm, without emotion, as though history had already been written and he was merely reading from it. Lin's speech, word for word, flowed from his mouth. The exact same delivery, the same logic, the same unyielding faith in diplomacy, in shared survival, in collective future. The Zorati began to mock him aloud. Snorts, grunts, a chuckle that turned into a bark. General Vorix leaned forward, sneering. Callum didn't acknowledge it. He reached the sentence, the exact point where Lin Caro had been killed. He paused. The room stilled. He turned, locked eyes with Vorix. A soft click. No flash. No report. Just a twitch from the general as a sliver of metal, silent and invisible, punched through bone and brain in a single microsecond. Vorix collapsed. His body hit the chamber floor with a dull, final thud. No other Zorati moved. No one else dared breathe. Callum finished the sentence, finished the paragraph, finished the speech. Then he stood there, for 5 full seconds, unmoving, unblinking. Then he stepped away, walked in silence to the edge of the chamber. No guards approached, no shields activated. Not a single weapon was drawn. He vanished in a shimmer of light as his extraction initiated. Instant, clean. The convergence chamber remained frozen. The image of a lone human finishing a dead man's words after executing his killer burned into the minds of every being present. There had been no warning, only completion, not vengeance. Correction, the aftermath was not chaos. It was calculation. The Galactic Convergence did not hold emergency sessions. They didn't need to. Every delegate understood what had happened. The Zorati's most decorated general had been killed mid-session, with surgical precision, by an unarmed human who had walked into the heart of galactic governance, spoken, acted, and vanished, all without resistance. No one discussed retaliation. Not seriously. Not out loud. The Zorati government issued an official statement. Vorix's death was an act of war. Their fleet was placed on high alert. Yet within days, Zorati colonies began transmitting distress signals, supply line disruptions, internal sabotage, civil unrest. Governors defected. Regional commanders refused orders. An empire built on domination now hesitated at every shadow, uncertain which might contain another human in diplomatic gray. The other species took note. Worlds that had previously laughed at Earth's idealism now requested diplomatic contact. Old treaties were quietly amended to include clauses for immediate human consultation. Embassies that had been emptied were reopened without formal request. Human flags rose again, not with fanfare, but with relief. When asked to comment, Earth released a single message through secure channels. Peace is our preference. Precision is our fallback. Choose accordingly. No fleets were deployed. No threats followed. Nothing more was said. And that was what frightened them most. The Zorati Empire, once loud and loudest, fell into silence. Paranoia replaced pride. Internal power struggles replaced conquest. No more generals dared stand before the convergence with boasts of strength. No more open disdain toward diplomacy. The message had been received, not through fire, through a moment. Other species tried to dissect the event. Security councils questioned how Callum Rourke entered undetected, how his weapon escaped sensors, how extraction occurred without trace. No answers surfaced. Earth offered none. Theories multiplied. Some claimed he had help from within the convergence. Others believed Earth had mastered quantum phase infiltration. A few whispered that Rourke hadn't escaped at all, that he'd never intended to. But none of those questions mattered. Only one did. Would it happen again? No one doubted Earth's capacity to repeat it. And more importantly, no one could predict who the next Rifleman would be. That uncertainty didn't generate fear alone, it generated respect. Galactic culture shifted. Meetings started on time. Interruptions ceased. Negotiations lengthened. Where once brute strength guided policy, now the possibility of human involvement forced caution. And Callum Rourke? His name was never confirmed. Earth neither claimed nor denied the operation. But his face, captured for a single instant on convergence feeds, became a quiet symbol, circulating among freedom movements, emerging on encrypted networks, drawn into murals on distant worlds. He became a myth because the galaxy needed one. But to Earth, he wasn't a symbol. He was a statement. A punctuation mark on a sentence Lynn Caro never got to finish. In a recorded log leaked years later, an alien historian summarized the event. Humanity came offering unity. They were ignored. One of them spoke for peace and was killed mid-sentence. Another came later, not to retaliate, but to finish the sentence. That is how Earth wages war, with completion, not conquest. We thought they were soft. We were wrong. They are exact. No war was declared. None was needed. The galaxy simply adjusted, and Earth never raised its voice again. It never had to.